What is going on, YouTube and sports fans? It's just Matthews, and welcome to my official first video to this sports talk channel. Now, this is something brand new I've started. I've never been big into making YouTube videos before. I'm fresh. I'm a newbie. Basically, what I'm trying to do is talk about the world of sports while also bringing you gameplay from these respective sports. I'll be bringing you Madden gameplay, 2K footage, the show, the NHL. Whichever sport I'll be talking about, I'll present the gameplay. Now, as you can see, I've got Madden 18 footage for you, which means we'll obviously be talking about the NFL. So without further ado, let's get into episode 1. Now, obviously this weekend is huge. It's championship weekend. Jacksonville's taking on New England in the AFC Championship game, while Minnesota's taking on Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game. Now, what I want to talk about with these matchups are a couple key components on how each team will win their respective games, or how they might actually lose their respective games. Now, first, let's go ahead and break down the AFC Championship game between the Jaguars and the Patriots. But before we do that,
play action now. Mariota going down the middle, and it's complete. And into the end zone. Touchdown.
My apologies. Before we started talking about this game, I just had to have one last memory with my boy Juju. Okay, back to the game. Now, what I'm going to be looking for in this game personally is, are the Jags defense really going to be able to stop Tom Brady if he plays, or will the Patriots walk all over them? Now, with Brady being listed as questionable, it's a huge what if for most football fans. Now, if Tom Brady plays, I definitely think it'll be a huge test on the Jaguars defense, but it also isn't the first test that they've had to deal with this season. However, I do think it's a little bit different against Brady and the Patriots. But then we go back to that what if Tom doesn't play, and how will the Patriots be able to survive the game against such a strong defense? Now, we obviously know what that defense can do, as they managed to get 4 turnovers off the Steelers last week, which then resulted in 28 points.
Oh, they get to the football. It's blocked. It's picked up. He's got the lane, and there he goes. He's at the 30. And he's in for 6 and a Steeler touchdown.
Now, I haven't followed their special teams defense a lot, but honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if the Jaguars could end up doing that against New England this weekend. But then again, they also gave up 44 points to the Niners, but, they also beat the Steelers, so I can't really say a whole lot. No, in all seriousness, though, that is a huge component for the Jaguars, is that their defense has to stay awake, and they have to stay hungry. Because if they do play how they did against the Niners, then there is no way that they're going to be able to walk into Foxborough and take a W from the Patriots. Not only is it just giving up points, but the Jaguars defense has been known for their sacks this year, which will also be a huge factor into stopping Tom Brady. You can't end up letting Tom Brady, who's already won 5 Super Bowls, get too comfortable in the pocket, because he is going to end up putting points on the board.
You just got the sense they need. Oh, this is blocked. This is going the other way. Defenders giving chase, but I don't think they're going to get there. He's at the 40, the 20, 10, 5, and all the way into the end zone, and that's 2 points.
Like I said, maybe once, but I don't know, twice in one game. Now, let's go back a little bit to when we were talking about what if Tom doesn't play. Now, what's New England going to do at the QB spot if that really is the case? Now, when the news came out that Tom Brady was actually questionable for this weekend's matchup, I'm sure a lot of Patriots fans were wondering, why did we trade Jimmy Garoppolo? No big deal or nothing. He only went 6-0 and, threw for nearly 1,600 yards, but hey, no big deal, right? Actually, I do think it's a big deal, because I wouldn't want Brian Hoyer to be the one that has to try and save my team's season, but it's Tom Brady. I don't think he'll be missing the game. If I had to make a choice of who I think is going to win this game, I think Tom Brady and the Patriots are going to be just a little too strong for the Jaguars defense. So now that our pick is going to be the New England Patriots representing the AFC, let's go ahead and talk about the NFC Championship game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles. So in this matchup, I honestly feel straight up like this game is going to be determined by who has the better quarterback. So honestly, I thought the Eagles for sure had no shot against the Falcons, and I also felt the same way with the Vikings against the Saints, but we'll get to that in just a second. Now, why I thought the Eagles had no shot against the Falcons, it's very simple. It's because they didn't have Carson Wentz, and because of no Carson Wentz, that meant that they needed to turn to Nick Foles, who had had only 1 playoff game under him prior to Saturday's game against the Falcons. Not only was it his postseason play, it was his regular season play as well, which led me to having no confidence in him whatsoever against a team who had just manhandled the Los Angeles Rams, as well as wanting to redeem themselves from the tragic end of a season that they had just last year. Now, long story short, the Eagles overcame the challenge of no Carson Wentz and were able to have success with Nick Foles, ending the Falcons' season. The Vikings had a big step up as well with Case Keenum as he helped deliver one of the wildest finishes I have ever witnessed in my lifetime. As a matter of fact, I'm still trying to comprehend what happened last week between the Saints' comeback and actually making it a watch-worthy game, and then that last play of the game was Stephon Diggs. Now, why I say Case Keenum stepped up is because this was his first taste of playoff football, and going up against Drew Brees and the Saints is not exactly a walk in the park. Don't get me wrong, his start was dominant, but when the Saints started their comeback, you had to have thought that his confidence was starting to tank very fast. But as we all know, he overcame that challenge and he helped send the Vikings to the NFC Championship game. Like I said before, this game will come down to who has the better quarterback, who's going to be more mature in the pocket, who's going to help make that big play to help send their team to the Super Bowl. Now, this call for me is not easy at all, but just because the Super Bowl's in Minnesota, I would like to see the Vikings take this one home. Now guys, this does conclude our first video on my new sports channel. Please provide feedback for me on what y'all think, how can I improve, what I need to include and so forth, as well as some feedback on my predicted Super Bowl, and don't feel too embarrassed to comment yours as well. Also as well guys, before I even forget, go ahead and go to that thumbs up button and give us a like, as well as go down to the subscription button and go ahead and give us a 1-up on the subs. Hope everyone enjoys their championship weekend, and until then, it's just Matthews.